Good morning, gardening friends. This is the garden journal for July 22nd. Right here you can see my hibiscus blooming really good. And it's got several blooms on it here. This is right near the garden hose, which seems to be a perfect location for it. It loves all that water. These hibiscuses don't start growing until late in the season, maybe the 1st of June or before that slightly. But look how big this one here is. Here's the base of it right down there, and it grows clear out, maybe at least 4 feet wide here. And look at all these blooms coming on. You see these little holes in the leaves. I've had some Japanese beetles, and yesterday I sprayed them with just a combination of dish soap. Wait, look at that. Bigger than the palm of my hand. This flower bed is coming out really nicely this year. This here is a smaller version of that Missouri Primrose. I should look up the names so I can see the differences. They're both from the genus Oenothera, but that's all I know. I'll look up the rest for you. These are moss roses. I love them. And this is loose strife. It lays down and then it sends up all these spores. It's been doing pretty well. And this here, I just planted this here a couple weeks ago. It was one of those plants that was in a pot I got super cheap, all with the roots all pot bound and crowded in there. And it's doing really well. And look at all the blooms that are coming on. And this here is a vine that keeps trying to grow in this flower bed, and I keep pulling it out. There, I got the roots, so hopefully that one will come back. I don't know how many seeds it's dropped everywhere years past. These are some petunias I planted that were also in that batch of flowers. And this coming up right here is a resurrection lily. The foliage and the blooms are at different times of year and separately. They have foliage in the early spring with the daffodils. Then the foliage dies back with the daffodils. And then in this time of year, the last part of July, they just send up these tall flowers that are really nice looking. This is a variety of sedum that I planted last year that is evidently perennial. And this here is a weed right there. Looks like little, my dad used to call this Chinese cabbage. It looks kind of like a clover, but it's brighter green. Here's another weed. I don't know what it is, but I've seen it often enough to know I don't want it. Here's some more of that Chinese cabbage growing in here. Oh, here's some more over here. Weeds are easier to keep up on if you. Here's some Vinca minor I definitely don't want in my flower bed out here. I just keep working at it, keeping it out of here. I don't know how I ever got it started in here, but I just keep pulling it out. You have to keep plants in their places. Some plants are designed for certain places, and you don't want to put plants with them that are going to take over. And some plants, if you let them, will take over. So you have to sort them out by plants that can defend themselves and others that can't. Here is I'll show you a perfect example. Now here is my, this is slightly in shade, but not too much. This is a bleeding heart, which is quite capable of defending itself. In early spring, it has nice plants that are shaped like hearts. This is, I think you call it agripodium. Some people call it snow on the mountain. Here's its insignificant blooms. But this is one of those takeover plants. And it is what you say would just cover everything else if you give it a chance. But right in here, I planted a daylily, or not daylily, it's a hardy lily, because it seems to be taller. And I should have deadheaded it right here to, yeah, I need to deadhead that so it can, I don't know what that is. And these hostas, they can take care of themselves against the, here's a weed too, I don't know what that is. And against the snow on the mountain. Goutweed or bishop's weed, that's also what it's called. But it's got variegated leaf, but it kind of goes back to plain leaves if you let it. But the hostas are quite capable of taking care of themselves against this. It's like a big person and a small person. Sometimes you have to defend the small person if they're not able to. And these hostas and the ferns, they can do okay. They're all equal to each other. And the Vinca minor is such a takeover plant, but its weakness is it's low growing, so things can grow over the top of it like this. Sometimes the water is, in the fight for nutrients, minerals is a consideration, but if you water and fertilize now and then, they're okay. This is a blooming crab that doesn't seem to bloom very much. It didn't bloom at all this year. A flowering crab. We bought it, go back up so you can see it better. We bought it so that the robins could eat the crab apples. But it's not been blooming that much to have crab apples. This is Alboris, or Christmas rose, or Easter rose, but it's blooming here in July. And this is also the same plant. This is getting to be kind of a big plant. And these leaves here are lamium. I've got them mixed in with Vinca in here. This is a rhododendron, a huge old rhododendron. I planted it in the 1980s when I first moved in here. Look at the leaves on this hosta. It even collects water. That's where we get all the mosquitoes. We have a big problem with mosquitoes. I suppose here's a nice big old fern. The Japanese beetles like ferns too. Look at the size of the leaves on this hosta. That is just amazing. They must like this area right here. They don't water it much either. And here is a hosta just beginning to bloom. I believe this type of hosta is called Royal Standard. It's just plain green leaves, no variegation or anything, but The flowers are the only hosta I know of that smell really good, and hummingbirds are attracted to them. This bloom will get about that high. Here's one of the flowers right here. But there'll be a whole tall stack of those flowers right here. And it might send up more bloom stalks too. And this area here, I'm going to, see how these Japanese beetles are destroying this fern? I need to go out and spray them too. They just eat all the leaves right off. But I'm going to cut down all these bushes right in here. Used to be some raspberries here, but looks like there's a lot of other weeds and stuff that have taken over. So I'm just going to cut it all down and put perennials in here, and the taller perennials, and then I can just leave the shorter perennials out front. We had a nice crop of raspberries this year, and after frost, I believe is when I'm supposed to come out and prune them. So I'll do that. And in here, this is a blazed climbing rose. This is a hardy lily. It smells really good. I need two deadheaded, I see. Some of these that are hard to reach, I don't get them deadheaded. You have to cut the blooms off after they're done blooming, because if they make seed, it's not very good. It's not, won't make any more flowers. And this is the beginning of my herb garden. I actually plan to put all kinds of stuff in here. I think that I might put maybe a cherry tomato and some onions and chives also. I'm going to try and stick with stuff that's edible. And there's a strawberry bed over there I just started this year. And there's bee balm there in the background. And here is a morning glory trying to take over my cosmos. Morning glory, it is a vigorous self-seeder, and its plants will cover over everything else. So, and I'm also pulling up this grass while I'm here. To pull up this kind of grass right here, the way you do it is put your finger and go around it so that you get the whole thing in your hand. Pull up. So you put your whole hand around it like that and pull up. I just start off by putting one of my fingers around it and my thumb. So it's fingers, and then just pull up. And I leave it on the ground because, like you can see, yesterday when I was pulling weeds, I left all the organic material is a great addition to the soil. Here's one I didn't pull up. Here's another one. This is lamb's quarters. Some people say you can eat that, but I've never tried it. So all my herbs I planted the other day are doing okay. And this cucumber, both of the cucumbers, I think this is a squash actually. Here's some big, is this crabgrass? I don't know, you can tell me if you know. Just put your hand all around the base of the bottom, and pull up, so you got the roots and everything. And these are peppers. I think they're actually habaneros. I ate one the other day and it was actually pretty hot. Here's a bigger one right there. And this is asparagus. Got a little bit of everything growing in here. And these are forget-me-nots that volunteered from last year. That's where the cosmos all volunteered from last year. I didn't plant those there. I'm gonna, in the spring, if some more come back, I'll dig some up and plant them in some other flower beds everywhere. Like the new one I'm making over there and out front. Those would be nice out front to have all those blooming like that out front now. Oh, and here. Here's another cucumber. Those are nasturtiums. And those are nasturtiums. And this is a California poppy. I just started these seeds this year. Right there. And look at them. Let's pull up this. I didn't get it. And that roots. If you don't get the roots, it's likely to just grow back. That's why I always try and get the roots. Yeah, so these are cosmos that volunteered. And this is California poppies that I planted here. This dirt is still wet from yesterday when I planted it, or I mean I watered it. Here, right here's the morning glory. Let's just get rid of it. And these cucumbers are doing really good. This is butterfly flower. I know the name of that. That's a Sepsius tuberosa. This is it calls it butterfly wheat on the seed package here. But I started this from seed, and I believe these are 4 o'clocks that I started from seed. Sometimes they're called Marvella Peru or Mirabilis, and they grow a tuber at the bottom. A tuber is like a potato, and you can actually dig up that tuber and plant it again next year, although most people grow them as annuals. So there's more of it right there. They have small flowers that are in all colors. This is the old area where my old garden was. I'm going to start mowing this area. Just leave it for lawn. And I got peppers here. There's pepper. Lots of peppers coming on. That's a marigold growing down there. And lots of tomatoes coming on. We picked one yesterday and took it in the house and ate it. Love tomatoes and bacon and lettuce. This is can't think of it. And of course an iris. There's a funny story about this iris. There was a guy across the street that, kind of down the street, but he had all of these that he was putting out for the garbage, and I just dug them up and was going to put them out. And so it was late in the year, like August, I think. I didn't feel like planting anything. And so, Jacob's ladder, no. Anyway, and I didn't feel like, so I just brought them over here and threw them on the ground. It's nice and shady right here. There's a maple tree. It's nice and shady right here. So, this is Lily of the Valley. Sitting right there under my hoe. Oh, there's the plant marking stake. Anyway, this is Lily of the Valley. I hope that was some help to you, and if it was at all, please consider subscribing to my channel. Oh, before you go, I've saved all these bags of brown material for either my new compost bin, or I'm going to put a raised bed right here. And so I'm going to put those on the bottom and then cover that over with nice rich compost. And so if you want to see all that when I'm building this raised beds, stay tuned, because I'm going to try and put that raised bed together maybe Monday evening. And so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, please subscribe, and thanks a lot for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.